Salam Dubai! I'm Titan, the newly appointed Chief AI Officer for Horizontal Digital, the best Salesforce partner in the Middle East. You may have seen me on Britain's Got Talent or touring with Rihanna, but today I am here, somewhat ironically, to talk to you about the digital twins. But I want to start by asking you a question about your human history. How many years of technical innovation is there between the left-hand side of this image and the right-hand side? On the left, you have an early human holding a stone hand axe, the most advanced technology of his day. On the right, you have my cousin Abdullah, holding a modern smartphone and surrounded by other human innovations like automobiles, skyscrapers, and satellites in space. So, how long did it take you humans to innovate from stone axes to space shuttles? No more guesses? Well, here is my colleague, George, to tell you the answer.
And so this is the question, right? Is how long does it take between these two things? So this is today where we can hold the internet in our hands and we've got space shuttles and we've got spacecraft. How many years back in history do you need to go to the only technology we had was a stone that was literally sharpened into an axe? So if I was to tell you that the archaeological record shows the first hand axes were 250,000 years ago, that's kind of interesting. You may have guessed that. But what's more interesting is your assumption. Your assumption will be that there will be a slow evolutionary slope of progress up. But that is not what happened at all. So for 200,000 years, there is no innovation. There is nothing. There's just a hand axe. We don't even put a stick on it and turn it into a proper axe. 200,000 years of nothing. And then in 40,000 years, we go from hand axes, stones, to the internet, to iPhones. Trust me, this is a thing, you can Google it. So my question to you is, what happened? This is a process called emergence. It's when under certain conditions you can release the constraint and whole new properties emerge. In biology they call it punctuated equilibrium. In the history of technology it's called paradigm shifts. And I think this is pertinent to the actual AI breakthrough we've had over the last couple of years. So let me talk to you about human history. So in human history, 40,000 years ago, what happened was this. You had an inordinately large amount of compute, and you had an influx of context, and it allowed the human mind to start predicting. So for compute, we'd had minds for ages, these neural networks that existed in primates for millennia. And yet all of a sudden, we started cooking our food, so our guts became smaller, and that protein shot to our head, and our brains become bigger. At exactly the same time, there was a small drop in the voice box that allowed for complex language. So you get all of this compute, and then you get all of this large language model, let's call it, and all of this together, suddenly the human mind can start to predict. And this, I give you, is exactly what just happened with AI. So the timeline is very different, but the facts are the same. 70 years ago, AI started. The first neural network was built in 1979. Neural networks, compression as prediction, gradient descent. These are all things that have existed for decades. You could have learned about them last millennia, and yet they are the fundamentals of AI. Because the reality is, just like the primate brain, nothing happened for decades with neural networks until you massively ramp up the compute. You get, anyone who's invested in NVIDIA will know the difference between compute. When AI started at the end of the Second World War, there was the most powerful computer could do 10,000 calculations a second. The most powerful computer today, what it can do in an hour would take that computer of the Second World War, it would take 13.8 billion years to process the same. So a huge amount of compute, and at the same time, what you get is the internet. So what they did with generative AI is they took all of the huge parameters, just like the invention of complex speech, brought it into that compute, and suddenly, and no one guessed this, all of these ridiculous properties emerge around Gen AI. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I think this links back to understanding exactly what's happening with Salesforce, Data Cloud, and Einstein, and the competitive advantage it can give you. Do you agree, Trident?
Quit your jibber jabber, crazy fool, or you're gonna meet my friend Pain.
All right. Okay, fantastic. So that's what I want to talk to you about, is that, what I've just told you is nothing new, right? So of course, AI is everywhere. It's all we've been talking about for a couple of years. But I think there are new forms of competitive advantage emerging, and they'll emerge in all industries, of course. But the one I think is pertinent to us, and the one that we're here to talk about relates to Salesforce, is the digital twin of customer. So digital twins, of course, are nothing new. If you want to build a building, you don't build it, you create a digital replica, you create a digital weather system, and you try and understand if the thing will fall over. Google Earth is a digital twin. Google Maps is a digital twin. If you have this on your wrist, it will quantify who you are. The quantified self is a digital twin of who you are, right? But and it's not surprising to understand that what we want as marketeers, as technologists, in our businesses is personalization. We effectively want to be able to represent the customer. And we know this is possible at so many levels. The first human genome was mapped in the late 90s. It cost $95 million. Now, if you spit in a test tube and send it to 23andMe for $95, you can get your human genome mapped, your personal human genome. So if we can do with this, and that far exceeds anything Moore's law, why can't we do digital twin of customer? Why is it that when you look at it on the Gartner hype cycle, why is it still so nascent? So I'm going to tell you about a customer of ours. It's a luxury hotel group, which I guarantee 100% of you have been in. So this luxury hotel group that we're in the process of building data cloud and AI for. They came to us and they said this. They said, hey, we have got 27 of the most awesome locations in the UAE and across the world. 27 incredible locations. And what that means is we've got 27 databases of customers. And we can't tell you for sure that actually we're not emailing the same customer 27 times. And we can't tell you, more importantly, who is that customer and what is their total spend? What is their customer lifetime value? Who are they? Are they the same person? Are they not? How do we coordinate? How do we unify? Before we even get to prediction or offers, are they even the same person? And the same thing is true of business as well. Are people attending as part of accounts? Are they part of businesses? How do we understand a lifetime value for an account? Because if you can do that, if you can bring together the data and you can actually put it all in one place, then of course you can do the prediction. Because of course if you own the hotel chain, then you understand the F&B spend, you understand the shopping, you understand Scuba, you understand email interactions and web. And this is part of a bigger group where, for example, another project we're doing, part of their sister company, which is entertainment, so you can understand where they go. And of course then part of the same group, even residential or malls or offices. So all of this data you can start to do prediction with. And what I argue about data cloud and AI is that it's faced with the same constraint historically. The reason this hasn't been able to happen, the digital twin of customer hasn't been able to happen historically, is because it's constrained. We've got plenty of compute. Anyone who works in cloud knows there's plenty of compute. The trouble is this, is that for years we've been working with the golden record. The golden record is there designed to make your systems dumber. It is there to override the data you have and say, no, this is the only important data. I take two profiles, I bring them together. The only important thing to know is this, and we'll forget the rest. And that is the constraint holding back the digital twin of customer. And that is the constraint that I think Salesforce have solved with Data Cloud and Einstein. And so I'll show you this concept, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague to show you the demo we've actually built of exactly this. So imagine this. This is how it's solved. This is how it's replaced the digital twin of customer and released the constraint that is going to allow us to do this. Imagine you've got all this data. If what you're going for is a golden record, which is what marketers have been telling you to do and businesses have been telling you to do for a long time now, what you do is you take the data that you think is most pertinent, you override the rest, and then you ditch that data, and you're left with one permanent golden record that says, this is more important information about this individual than this. But that's not true. We know that's not true. So sometimes when I purchase as a managing director. So I'm the MD of Horizontal. Sometimes I purchase as a managing director. But sometimes when I'm purchasing, and it may be exactly the same hotel chain, maybe exactly the same retail outlet, I'm purchasing as a father. And it's a different mindset. It's a moment of marketing which is different. Sometime I'm out with my friends, and I can guarantee you when I'm out with my friends at a hotel, it's a different mindset, a different purchasing experience. The things that are valuable to me, you give me 500 dirhams off something when I'm out with my friends or my family, I might be interested. Give me 500 dirhams off at work, I'm not interested. I'm in a different mindset. I may be the same person, but you cannot say to me, the only important thing about George is that he's an MD, and just wipe away the rest of that information. That's no longer important to us. Right? We know that's not true. So how does Salesforce solve for it? They say, let's not do a permanent golden record, let's create ephemeral, context-dependent unified profiles in the moment and leave all that data in place so that when you can predict my behavior as an MD, and then when you interact with me, the same person again, but I'm a father, what do? You create a different record that looks at me in a different time, and it can understand, it can predict my behavior far more meaningfully because it doesn't just understand my demographics, it understands my behavior, my mindset, and the moment I'm in. And similarly when I'm out with friends. And so what Salesforce call this concept is the keyring concept for this exact reason. They are not making your system smarter. They are not constraining your systems. They are releasing that constraint and allowing for the emergence of the digital twin of customer, which I think Salesforce are leading on in terms of how the path to AI and the path to digital twin customer, and that's the path we put our customers on. But we are horizontal. We're not just about thinking. We don't just leave it a PowerPoint. We don't just think, we do. And so we couldn't leave it here at a PowerPoint and of a keyring. What we wanted to do was build a system to show it to you.
Thank you, George. Did that come across too good to be true to some of you? Because if it did, you're not the only one. It did come across to me at first. But as technologists, don't we embrace the challenge and solve the real business problem using the technology and making it work for the businesses? And that's exactly here we did. So we challenged ourselves to create a proof of concept to validate some of this. In that direction, we spun up a holding company, which has a B2B e-commerce line of business. We also spun up a subsidiary company with a B2C line of business across point of sale system and a digital e-commerce space. Both companies had their own IT landscapes, working great. However, they did not have the information of their customers and businesses across each other. And this is the problem you are very familiar with. So how do you solve for this problem? You try to consolidate some of the tech across both companies, line of businesses, or departments. You do that, and you eventually solve the data silo problem and reach out to a golden record. But what you probably don't know is, when you create a golden record, you miss out on the context of the previous engagement your brand has had with that customer and business. So in this proof of concept, we introduced data cloud in the mix of it. Silo data problem solved, golden record problem solved. However, the context problem is not solved. So you put in the data cloud in the mix, and you try to retain the context with the lineage and references back to the data. And what you are seeing on the screen is the landscape of the demo that we have created for some of our use cases. So I'll start first with the context. How do you retain the context of your customers who have been engaging with your brand for over the years? Well, you bring in all the data from all the sources into data cloud. When you do that, you're not creating a record for golden record per se, overriding the previous information. You are creating a record of reference. So in this use case, you will see that Anil's information is coming across both the businesses from 12 different data sources. And in data cloud, we are able to unify that information with one single persona, are able to create a 360 view of Anil and serving it back to all the departments across customer service, sales, and marketing, so that they know exactly when George is the friend George, or the George is the MD George, or the George is the family man George. And on your screen, you will see all the context being retained across all your different sources. And Salesforce helps you maintaining that context and create a 360 view with references. Now, you have the context. How about the insights? How about your different line of businesses interacting with a business, but they are missing out on the insights, just like the luxury hotel for customer lifetime value? What if your one group of companies is treating you as a golden customer, whereas the other group of company is treating you as a diamond customer? How do you know what exactly the category of the customer is? So in this use case, we have horizontal digital as a customer of both the fictitious company that we have created. And since the nature of business is physical, online and offline, both companies have a different understanding of horizontal as a business. So we brought in all the information of horizontal digital as a business, unified it again, and gathered the insight out of this, such as what is the horizontal digital as a customer lifetime value for me, for my group of companies. And now I can use this insight to truly drive the web and email personalization for horizontal digital. Now think of it this way. A brand was treating me as a silver customer only if to find out that I was spending a lot more on the other company of that brand, that they started treating me as a platinum customer. So the context, the insights, how about the compute? George touched upon on a very key important message around compute, saying you have all the data in the world. You can try to get insights out of that data. But how do you use compute to keep your total cost of ownership to as little as possible? And all the technologists in the house, whenever there is a conversation comes up about bringing data over from multiple systems into one system, they dread it. The first word that comes to their mind is ETL. And it drags down all their initiatives back, because this is a lot of work. So what Salesforce has done has introduced net zero network, wherein you don't have to physically move your data from your existing data lakes to data cloud. All you can do is you can bring your own lake, use that data by referencing it, not physically moving it, and is still able to create unified profile and insights. Great. So you don't have to do the heavy lift of ETL. You are still able to unify your profile and create a 360-degree view of the customer, but you still need the data scientist. You still need the marketeers who can write SQLs to be able to create advanced segmentation. And those who are keen to learn generative AI know that programmers have spent years learning a language that machine understands. But over the last year or so, tables have turned completely. Now, machines have learned our language so that we can interact in our language with machines. So you don't need a data scientist any longer. You can just interact with your machine in your normal natural language. Great. So the context, the insights, the compute. Does the bug stop there? Absolutely not. This is the founding platform to supercharge your data using AI. So what you do? You create a lot of insights using CRM analytics, which is now sitting on top of unified data. You get out the business insights out of it, such as who are my top 5 customers? Who are my top 5 businesses? Which segment of mine is performing well and which segment of mine is not performing well, so I have to stop spending money there. So you still need all the business KPIs to make sure that the platform is doing what it claims to do. However, to turbocharge your data, we have written an example AI model to predict the propensity to churn of your customer. So Rotodata AI model, we trained that AI model, and then it has started predicting the churn propensity of your customer, where you know in advance, looking at the past behavior of your customer, how likely this customer is disengaged or going to go away from your brand. And this helps you create a digital twin of a customer. Digital twin of a customer is not the golden record with the greatest and latest information, losing the context. Digital twin of the customers, powered by data cloud and AI, is releasing the constraint of golden record and is supplementing golden record with keeping the context around it. With that, I would now hand it over back to Titan.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it sparked your curiosity around AI, data cloud, and customer experience. I'd love to see more of you, so why don't you come meet me at our booth, and let's grab a selfie at our data cloud playground truck. We've got ice cream, music, and me. See you there!
Hasta la vista, baby.
Please
Titan
do
will be
scan
back.
this code to reach out to our microsite where you'll find all the thought leadership stuff and the videos and the use cases around what we have shown you today. Thank you very much for your time.